Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. This week, we're going to have a very interesting conversation. I think it's interesting. I want to talk about a nation in crisis. And I say that with a question mark. A nation in crisis? Are we in crisis is the real question. I want to talk about the top five issues that I believe that are dividing America right now. We're going to talk about what those issues are. How do we deal with them? How do we move forward? And how I want to know if we're able to, after having such a contested, angry, upcoming midterm election, will we be able to move forward? And are things going to get better and worse? We'll have that conversation moving up. But before we get to that, I want to say hello to my producer, John B. in the place to be. John, what is good?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And then also, if you see over there in those almost looking like summer apparel, my co-host Mark Bassett out there. I see the sun shining on those glasses. Mark, what's good with you?
Well, I'm doing great. Other than we've had like record colds here. I mean, it's in the 50s today. So I after the show, though, it's pretty sunny. I think I'm going to try to go down to the pool in the hot tub and see if I can brave the high 50s and get in. So
you are just for what are we going to do with you, buddy?
yeah.
You have no concern about those of us who we're up here saying, hey, it's 3 degrees today. It's warm.
I noticed it got above freezing today, maybe in Midland. So that's great.
You know, and what's interesting, Mark, is that this weekend or this week for a couple of days, I was in the DC area, and it was interesting because I was thinking, hey, I'm gonna go 10 hours south of us. You know, it's gonna be warm. I got to DC, and the day that I got there, it was 20 degrees.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel much different. But the day that I was leaving, how blessed am I? It was a whole 36 degrees. And there was sunshine.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to get another kind of Arctic blast over there, it looks like. So I don't,
One of the hardest things I think for me, when I look and I think about weather here in Michigan, it's not even the cold. Sometimes the cold slaps you in the face. I hate when it's so cold that it feels like when you go outside, you get slapped in the face. But the thing is not so much the weather, and we don't get that much snow. People think that we get a ton of snow outside of Michigan. But I don't think that we get that much snow. Jonathan, what do you think?
It's mostly northern Michigan, Upper Peninsula. Like they get a ton of snow up there, but here in mid-Michigan, it's reasonable.
I mean, but it'll snow, and then if it's a really big snow, most times, like most of it is gone in a couple of days.
I like the amount of snow we've been getting this year.
It's been good with me. But what's interesting is when I was in DC, as I said, I had so many people like, "Oh my gosh, you're from Michigan?" Like, yeah, they're like, how much snow do you guys have? I said, about the same amount you guys have out here. Are you serious? I'm like, no, you're talking about above the bridge, northern Michigan above the bridge, that kind of stuff. That's where they get the crazy stuff. But the thing that gets me more than anything and that I struggle with here in this area is the fact that we don't see the sun. It is rough. We not only is it cold, but we get gray skies. And so, Mark, that's the thing that I'm envying you down there. Once again, what is the weather going to be like again, Mark, before we go into this show?
Well, right now it is chilly. It's in the mid to high 50s, which for southern Florida is quite cold. But this weekend it's going to get back up into the 70s and then move into the 80s next week. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah. So I want to get into today's conversation. Thank you guys for out there listening. Those who are in the social media stream, we want you to like, tag, and share this conversation with those in your listening audience, those who you have influence with. In addition to that, I want to give a shout out to our callers, WSGW, as you listen to this show and all of the other great shows that are out there. I don't know if you guys have been listening, those who are listening in our audience, but go out there and check out Mi Gente. There is an episode I sat in with Larry Radarte. He rolls his tongue with his. And so I think it's worth listening to. So go out there and check it out. The same place. And Jonathan, where can they hear this show?
Easiest place to find it is at WSGW.com. Click on podcasts. All of the episodes are there, but there's also links to the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, basically anywhere you find your podcast. And of course, on social media, the live streams are stored, Facebook, YouTube, all those great places.
Okay, so can I share a little bit before we get started about my experience this past couple of days? I had the most.
It's your show, Kareem. You can do whatever you want. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, but I do want to share. So I've been to DC maybe 6, 7, 8 times, right? This was different because normally when I go through DC, I've been to all of the, the historical markers, and I'm not one to really go inside. I did go last August, and I went into the African American Museum of History. But this time I went into the Library of Congress. Now, what's interesting is that I have a book that I wrote a number of years ago. I think it was like 2012. That actually was assigned a number in the Library of Congress. So I thought that was interesting. But I had never been in the Library of Congress. The name of the book is Reclaiming a Lost Generation. I almost forgot it for a second. Reclaiming a Lost Generation, What We Must Do to Save Our Seed. So I'm coming out with volume 2 of that book pretty soon. But I was invited to an event at the Library of Congress, guys. And when I tell you, it is absolutely amazing on the inside. Mark, have you been in there before?
I've never been in the Library of Congress. Been to DC many times, been to a lot of the museums, but have not been in there.
What about you, Jonathan?
I don't remember. I only went to DC like on my class trip in 7th grade or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think we might have gone in,
but I think
remember.
that's what most people do. So you go out and you look at all of these, great archives and places like from the outside. And some of them you may go through.
We toured like the Capitol building and the White House and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we did go in.
Man, so I went in, I was blown away. Like if you are a person who loves architecture, if you're a person who loves history, if you are an individual who just loves to be able to see things that are a part of the founding of this nation, it was absolutely amazing. And on top of that, there was an author that was there, and I guess every 6 weeks or so they do this thing where they bring in an author. He shares excerpts from his book. There is an interview, but just the backdrop of this place was absolutely fantastic. So that was amazing, right? It was cool to go in and just kind of watch, which I've seen these things before, our Congress people doing what they do on our behalf. That was interesting. But I'll tell you what, I went to for the first time ever, Mark.
What do they do on our behalf? I'm not quite sure, Kareem, but that's a different topic. So.
They work hard. They're sitting there, they're writing bills, and it was just amazing what they were doing. No, it's interesting. And if you've watched TV before, you've seen it, especially if you see C-SPAN. But it was interesting how much work is really not done on the floor, but most of the work is done before you even go in there, and you kind of know what's going to happen, right? But just that whole thing was cool. But I went to the National Prayer Breakfast, which is hosted by the president every year. And when I tell you, it was so interesting. I'm going to tell you, it was very, very interesting. And for those who are listening, yes, Donald Trump was there. He was, of course, the keynote. And it was the most interesting thing that I've ever been to before. Well, one, because the musical guest, which I absolutely love. Do you, Michael W.S.? No, you don't know who he is? Do you know who he is?
No.
Michael.
Never heard of him.
Oh my God. Is it Michael W. Smith? Michael W. Smith.
Oh, I've heard that name.
Duh. You got to get the right name to hear about him. But you know you've heard his name.
Yeah.
So he's Open the Eyes of My Heart. I love his songs, right? So he is a great worship leader. He was the person that was supposed to be there. But we got a discourse in what happens when the president arrives. And so they go through the program, but when he arrives, like they stop and push everything back, and they allow him to speak immediately whenever he arrives. And then, so that was interesting, because I was waiting to see, Michael W. Smith, and all of a sudden, nope. And I was waiting because this was the program, and I wish I had brought the program with me physically, but it was opened with a prayer from the president of El Salvador.
Interesting.
It,
Okay.
it was interesting. So the president of El Salvador did the opening prayer. And then for the scripture, Pete had Hegseth, which I did not know he was so tied to his faith before, but we've been seeing that more so lately. So he read scripture, which I think everybody should read scripture, right? But he read scripture. I'm trying to think the other people that were on program. Paula White. So do you know who Paula White is, Mark?
She's I think isn't she like this woman? She's been married like 3 times. Is she a prosperity gospel? She's like the president's kind of personal
advisor.
Right.
Their words, not ours, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and I don't know. Do you know who she is, Mark? I mean, Jonathan, have you heard anything about her before?
No.
All right. So those who are watching, who are aware of Paula White, this is really interesting to me because Paula White, I think the first time that I ever remember hearing of her, there was like a Bishop T.D. Jakes conference of some sort, and she was on that circuit. But Paula White, when you look at her in the 90s, I think it would be, and the early 2000s, was really hot on the Black gospel speaking circuit. So you would literally go to an event and Paula White would be the speaker. This little small white lady would come and she would preach the house down, right? So it was interesting what she has evolved into as we see her now. So she initially came out and she talked about how Trump had restored religion to the White House, and he has done more for religion than ever in the history of presidents. And
Her
so
personal opinion, obviously.
Yeah. You got to admit, I mean, we're in this room and there are 1,200, 1,400 people in this place. And it was just, it was a really amazing, it was amazing to experience. There were a lot of people going, oh, I wouldn't go to that. I wouldn't go to that.
I got a quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I read this blurb, and again, it's hard to understand what's actually, you can't believe anything you read anymore, really. And that's one of the issues I think we've got. But Did President Trump actually say he's never read a Bible before?
At the prayer breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the thing. Okay. This being my first prayer breakfast, and also my congresswoman, this is her first prayer breakfast. None of us knew the rules. So what they do is they bring you in, but this is the cool thing. So we had really good seats on the floor, and I was like, okay, we need to change this. I don't want to sit that close, and they had us separated. So we sat at the back together instead of being separated on the floor. But it proved out to be great because what they didn't let us know is they bring out your food, which was, it was breakfast, eggs, sausage, and something else. It qualifies as a decent breakfast, right? People were killing it. I love the eggs; they were really good. But the part is they bring out the juices first. So when you sit down, you've got a glass of water, a glass of juice, and then you have a carafe of coffee, a pitcher, or whatever, pot of coffee. And so we're sitting there. It's the first thing in the morning. So what are you gonna do, Mark? You're gonna drink coffee, right?
I will. Yeah,
okay.
I'm not touching the orange juice. It's got calories.
Okay. You don't want to mess up your beautiful Florida figure, right? For the sunshine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So everyone's drinking coffee. But the thing was this. I noticed that not everyone, the older folks were not drinking coffee. But us newbies here, we're taking in the coffee. Hey, yeah, can we get some hot coffee? The coffee's not hot. It's not hot for a reason because it's been sitting there because everybody else knows what's about to happen. So the president gets there, and we're sitting there, and now I've had 3 cups of coffee waiting for this thing to start. We got there early. Well, guess what? I get up. I'm like, hey, I think I'm going to go to use the restroom. Congresswoman says, Congress Rivet, she says, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. I'm like, I can't go to the bathroom? She goes, I don't think they let you. I'm like, what is this? Times Square on New Year's Eve? I got to wear a diaper to this thing. So I get up and I go over and I talk to security. And by this time, my bladder is like tap dancing for real. And I'm like, hey, is it okay if I it okay if I go to the bathroom really quick? Drinking this coffee. You know, I slide it in on the slide. Maybe he'll let me slide out through the door because it was slightly open. And he goes, yeah, I can let you out, but I can't let you back
Can't let you back in. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like going, okay, I came all the way to DC for this prayer breakfast. I want to see all of the people that are going to be a part of this. So I go back and I sit down. And so I'm sitting there and everything, I promise you, every noise that sounded like people like were pouring coffee. It sounded like a river drinking their drinks. And it just, everything sounded like water flowing. And I sat there and he was probably maybe the first 20 minutes because he came in and before he got to, you know, his script, he always goes off script. So his off script message was, it was a lot. The Republicans around us were apologizing for like, oh my God. Yeah, if you voted for a Democrat, you're evil. And they were like, we're sorry. But it was that kind of thing. But I wanted to get to like, what is the essence of everything? And remember, all of the elements were pushed forward from the program, everything except for the president of El Salvador. And so I'm sitting there, I could no longer take it. So I had to get up and leave. And so I went to the restroom and I was thankful. But 45 minutes later, the Congresswoman comes out because now we are pushing beyond the time that we're slated to be there because
she's still talking.
He's still talking,
still rambling on.
And like so we had to catch flights because our flights were coming back. But check this out. So when we get to the airport, we run into someone who stayed for the entire thing. And they were like, no, after you guys left, he spoke for another 45 minutes.
How long did he speak then?
I would say a cool hour and maybe 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
Which is not, you know, there are people that come and do that, but a speech for that long was a lot. But anyways, I wanted to share that because it is a very interesting time talking with both Republicans and Democrats at some of those events that were happening there. It's interesting. You know, many people feel like they're not going across the aisle having conversations with each other. Like, it's not cool to talk with one another. And I thought that this was interesting because we pay our people to go there to work together, to solve issues, solve problems, but we want these things. And I think most people would, and I hope you guys agree, would want our country to have a conversation, to be able to get Democrats and Republicans to talk. Because if you're like, I think either one of us here, our interests aren't on all the way to the right or all the way to the left, in the middle. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree. I mean, I think we've talked about this a number of times. Ultimately, I think how you get things done is, and I know you don't like this word, but I think both sides have to try to find common ground and compromise and agree on the things that they can agree on to make things move forward and to do anything. And that ultimately, that's kind of one of the big issues I see with Congress and Senate is, and in government in general right now, is there is no willingness other than in extreme cases to kind of reach across the aisle and try to find a common ground to move something along. It's either I win, you lose, or you win, I lose. And that's not how you actually accomplish anything.
Yeah, I hate the word, and I see someone in the stream that will understand this by the name of Brian Pruitt. One of his great mentors, Brian Molitor. Shout out to Brian Molitor, who I think is a fantastic person. He does a lot of great things, but he's also an awesome trainer. And I sat in a session with him that he was doing, I think, with Covenant at the time, and he was talking about the difference between compromise and collaborate. And so that's the thing. When I heard it, it just kind of rang true for me, Mark. And so I've never been able to really embrace compromise, even though I think when it boils down to it, sometimes you have to make a compromise.
I mean, ultimately, like, I think maybe there's 10 issues and basically you've got to decide. You're not going to get a win on all 10 issues, and you have to decide what are the most important issues that you want to get a win on, and that you're willing to give away something else to get that win.
Okay.
And that to me is kind of like compromising.
Okay. So
I wanted 10, but you know what? An 8's good enough, so I'll accept an 8.
But are all of the 10 that you have, and so this is why the word collaborate to me kind of rings differently.
Okay.
I may want 10. Are all of those 10 really like heart issues to me, or these are just 10 issues. If I listen to your 10 and you listen to my 10, and we say, what are the best 5 out of these 10?
Right.
Or what are the best 10 out of these 10? It may be 6 of yours and 4 of mine. It's going to
Yep.
usually be 8 of mine and
Yep.
then 2 of yours, I think. What do you think, Jonathan?
I understand.
Go ahead.
I'll let you finish where you're going with
No,
this.
I'm just saying, I just think that if we can come to a point that it's not about win or losing, but really putting forth the best of these ideas, to me, collaboration wins. But
So
go ahead.
we have an adversarial system of government.
Yep.
That's how it's set up.
Intended.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I think the problem is where there is like so much of a fear of being perceived as losing anything,
Yes.
that if I compromise and I get an 8 out of 10, well, then I've lost 2 out of 10.
And we allow it to be characterized as your soft.
Well, I don't know that we allow it. I think that's what sells.
Exactly.
I mean, we're kind of going down some of your talking points that you talked about, but I always come back to like my personal experience. And like I ran businesses, I dealt with customers, and kind of to Jonathan's point, a customer and a supplier in a certain sense, a natural adversarial relationship.
Absolutely.
But you can have long-standing constructive partnerships, a supplier and a customer, if you find ways where you, and again, this is a bit of a cliche, but where there's, a win-win situation, and you never get everything you want, but do you get enough that you're happy with it? And do they get enough that they're happy with it? A one-sided relationship never lasts. It's never a partnership
at all, because no one wants to feel like they lost. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when I come back, I'm going to talk about those 5 things that I think are the top issues that divide us as America. Stay tuned.
You're listening to United Shades of Gray on WSGW.
This is Kareem. We're back with more United Shades of Gray. That's USG, Conversations of Race in America. Today, it really ain't so much about race, but it may be underlying when we talk about the issues that are dividing America, because sometimes the issue may not seem to be a racial issue, but as we address these issues, where we come from, what we value, and sometimes ethnicity and race are factors in how we feel about those things. The first thing that we're going to talk about, Mark, is and it's interesting because I have been in so many conversations. If you're anywhere in this Great Lakes Bay region, you have heard about the fight for, is it 35th, Jonathan, the district 35th, 30?
Yep, 35th state Senate seat.
There you go. So you've heard about that. And it's been interesting. But what's interesting is this. No matter how you slice it, if the candidates that were on the Democratic side, if either of them win, it is a historic moment, right?
What is this? Remind me, what is this district? Where does it cover?
It's kind of Saginaw, Bay County, and Midland.
Midland, got it. Okay, so it's that district. And who's running again? Remind me who's running again.
Well, now we have to talk about the people that are running, but we'll save that for another conversation.
All right.
I don't want to get phone calls.
Okay.
I think we're far enough away.
Well, we're past the primary.
Yeah. So, well, go ahead, Jonathan. You're going to say what that area covers.
It covers like sections of Saginaw Bay and Midland counties, but not the whole counties. It's just kind of the one that intersects all of them after the redistricting before the last election.
Yeah. So this seat, it's weird because if you look at the election and you look at how Saginaw has fared, it has kind of been a bellwether. And it has really leaned right for a very long time, this particular seat. And so it's kind of interesting how it's happening.
I will say it might have leaned right for the most part,
number of years,
but it got redistricted.
Right. So it's going black. It's blurple.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I looked at everything that was there, and we're talking about being able to kind of come back. So that issue, very divisive, very divided, hot contested from the Democratic side, which I think that's probably the only one that any of us were. Did you vote in this one, Mark, before you left?
No.
Mark is really just becoming just like
I've never voted in a midterm election, to be honest with you.
really.
And this isn't even a midterm. This is a special
Yeah, it's
election.
a special election.
Yeah.
Does it cover Midland, the city of Midland?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have gotten a ballot to vote on that.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. So, but anyway, so these types of things, but in this process, there's a lot of conversation going to Washington, D.C. and even at the prep breakfast and different spaces, I'm hearing conversations that are being had and what people are saying and what people are feeling. And it's crazy because it seems like at this state in American history, it feels so polarized, so divided. And I thought maybe when we got to DC, we would see people who are, yelling at each other, but they're coming together and they're talking in spaces. And that really ain't the case. And in talking with other folks who are there, they're saying that, it is a very different time. But when we talk about the cost of living,
and what do they say is different about this time? The lack of dialogue between the parties, or what?
Mark,
what is different?
You're asking me questions that I really don't. I don't want to answer this moment. But no, what people honestly, what they're saying is that a part of how this administration has been operating. You know how they say that some people thrive in chaos. So
definitely a chaotic administration. Yeah.
Yeah. So to keep things polarized is actually a part of the process. Is a part of what's
the strategy.
There you go. It's a part of the strategy. So I get that, but I see that happening also in our communities. I see that happening in conversations with neighbors. I was talking with a neighbor at the mailbox before the snow happened, and we were having this conversation, and they're Republican, and I was saying, like, what is the deal? And they're like, listen, it's crazy because we have to live next door to folks, and these things are happening. But I wanted to talk about how we view the government in terms of where we are economically. One of the top issues that we've heard in the running of the 24 election, during Biden's administration, post-election, and is now a big conversation, is this issue of the cost of living and economic strain. And so folks and polls, and I was looking at these polls, and I looked at Quinnipiac, I looked at Pew, on the things that were really dividing people, the cost of basic needs. And it's crazy because I'm seeing blue collar Republicans who live in rural areas, who are being impacted by what's happening with the farming situation. You didn't know I knew other farmers or people from the area, but I do. And they're like, listen, it's crazy out here, but that's not the conversation that's being had in folks who have voted for Donald Trump. Are you all seeing this kind of crazy situation happening in terms of, but you talk to folks who are on the blue side of the ticket, and their whole thing is, we can't afford anything. And it just seems like the conversation, is there a gap in terms of how people are feeling, or are we just jaded by having to choose a side?
There's a gap in how to address it.
Okay.
I think is the biggest thing that I'm seeing is people on the left want to see government intervention. They want to see the government do things that will,
which is typical.
That is typical. And the people on the right, interestingly, the Republican Party also wants to see government intervention in a different way,
which makes you happy, right?
Which is atypical. Well, I guess you could always argue that lowering taxes is a government, is an action. I mean, I think what's different about the Republicans this time is Republicans have never believed, well, at least in my lifetime, in tariffs and in government investing in industries and businesses. And you're seeing that in spades now, owning companies, so.
All right, go. I want you to finish your point, Jonathan.
No, I Mark is giving examples of what I'm saying, where, and suddenly that action, that's not the good action according to the left, because the people wearing red are taking it. I don't.
Well, I'm a long-term Republican, and I've run businesses for 20 years. I can tell you, I don't support tariffs because ultimately it's a tax on the customer.
Okay, and that's kind of what you're getting to, the sentiment of what that question was. I may have gone around the world to get there, but are both sides feeling the same thing? Do they feel the same way? It's crazy.
I think that there's, I think the polls prove that whether you're Republican or Democrat, that they feel like there's economic strain that they weren't experiencing before, and it hasn't gotten better. No matter what party you're a part of, I think that's a general sentiment.
Go ahead.
And I think that second part that you said, and it hasn't gotten better, is the growing sentiment among people, especially those who voted for Trump.
Yep.
Okay, so you think that there may be a coming together, or not a coming together, but a diversion, and not a diversion,
A shared experience.
a shared experience that may be something that happens from both sides that allows the American consumer, the everyday Joe, to say, hey, like, you want to do this and that doesn't benefit us. You guys want to do that and that doesn't benefit us. What are you guys going to do? How do you think that this will play out? Do you think that because what I see is Democrats complain, you said it was about the price of eggs. Eggs are still high. You said it was a price, and all of these things. But I don't hear Republicans who have to be also struggling, because I see where they coming from too. I don't hear the same outrage all the time. Am I in a different place and hearing different messages than you guys are?
No, I think you're right. That because my guy's in office, everything's going better. There's a certain amount of denial there. Egg prices are going down. Well, a giant wave of bird flu also ended.
Right.
Right.
You can't point to. I will say, gas prices are significantly lower
They
than
are.
they have been.
They are.
So there are some things that are coming down and staying down.
So does that make sense to you? Does it make sense that if you're hurting, that you don't say that you're hurting?
No, I think you got to ultimately. I'm always wary of using like anecdotal stories. So like, I don't know who the people you are talking to. If you're wealthy, you're wealthy, and wealthy people tend to be Republican. And I think your neighbors tend to be pretty wealthy over there, Kareem, where you live. So
No. Nice try, Mark.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think again, that's why I'm a believer in like statistical polls versus anecdotal stories, and I think there's a general sentiment nationally that the cost of living has not gotten better, despite the promises it was going to get better. I think there's a general sentiment that you're seeing more and more of like, wait a minute, this just what they're doing with ICE and how everyone, again, back to the original, like everyone, I think most people can agree we needed stronger security at the borders than what was happening under Joe Biden. I think everybody can agree, or most people can agree, that we should aggressively target violent and horrible illegal immigrants and remove them from the country. But I think there's a growing sentiment that's becoming obvious that most Americans, the majority of Americans, more than 50% of the Americans, don't support and approve of how ICE is being deployed today.
Wow. Okay. So there's a question that was posed. What about the charcuterie of the Obamas by the president?
Caricature.
Is that?
Did you see that?
I don't get what that means.
No, it's caricature. It's so funny.
It's a typo.
I'm looking at the comment with my glasses on. I can't see anything. I have to take my glasses off.
No, it was a typo in the comment.
Was it? Okay, all right. The caricature. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, the caricature. Oh.
Go ahead. What about it?
Do you want?
Go ahead.
Have you heard about this? The video that was posted by Trump on Truth Social.
No.
I have not seen it.
Okay. So
thank you. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
This is going to be a detour, and this is honestly where I thought the conversation was going to go before today's episode.
Thank you very much.
There was late last night, as we're recording this anyway, President Trump posted a video to Truth Social, and for about a second and a half of it, there is an AI thing that has the pictures of Barack and Michelle Obama's faces on monkeys.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Now, one, it's awful. It's terrible. I condemn it. I think it's awful. I'm not defending it when I say this. It is racist. The video is, and he should not have posted that. I don't think he made it.
Well, sorry, finish your.
Here's why. I'm going to give you a lesson in some internet culture here.
Okay, teach me.
There's a common trolling thing on the internet where someone will post an interesting video, like a piece of a documentary, usually about 60 seconds long, which this clip was, and for a second and a half, 2 seconds in the middle, towards the end, it will flash to something that is shocking, whether that's pornographic,
Yeah.
whether it is violent, just something that is shocking. Based on the context of the video and what was posted, I think that's what this was. I don't think it was made by Trump, but he shouldn't have posted it. He should be held to a much higher standard than your average Joe on what gets communicated.
I'm going to let you go next, Mark. I don't know what kind of standard we would hold him to. He's kind of in the basement already with some of the things he's done. But
well, I ultimately like nothing. You can't. Nothing surprises anybody anymore of what this guy does or what his team does or allows to happen. And so, yeah, what do you say? I mean, it's just, to me that ultimately, like, and it kind of gets to the point of some of your topics, which is the culture of any organization, country, kind of emanates, I believe, from the top. In the culture, and this is why I've never supported Donald Trump, irrespective of any policy. He is a repulsive, human being that the office, he doesn't deserve the office of the president. When you campaign around ridiculing people, making fun of people, belittling people, it's just, if he was your son, you would be ashamed of him, and you would have been ashamed of him in 2016 when he was running in a primary. If he was working for a company, if he was your employee, you would fire him for what he says and what he does. And it's just unfathomable to me that this guy is sitting in the office of the president.
I'm going to disagree with you on one part there.
Okay.
Mark,
what is it? I can't wait. Go ahead.
You think that society and culture flows down from the top? I think it's the opposite. I think what gets put up at the top is kind of a reflection of, at least in the U.S., that person was voted in. Trump was voted in.
Sure.
He's not a leader who then says, this is how we're going to behave.
He certainly could, but he can decide he's not going to behave that way and hold himself to a higher standard and try to unite people.
Yeah.
Or he could double down on that and continue to divide and belittle and, mock people.
And to that point, when I went
double down on it,
when I went looking for this video, I was expecting something awful. I was expecting it to be 60 seconds of this AI generated insulting garbage to his opponents that happened to have that frame in it. So I was somewhat surprised to find what it was, but still terrible.
Okay.
I mean, it was, like if you had a son, Jonathan,
hold on. Okay, let me
let
the brother man in the room who is often referred to or in historical perspective as a monkey. And I think it's important. So I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about this because I value your opinion. But Jonathan, like whoever created it, it doesn't matter. It is the president of these United States. And the name of this country was given that name for a reason. United States of America. Even though the governance and how they operate together was to be a checks and a balance, not to be in opposition completely, but to provide a different perspective. And it's sad that we now live in a society that a different perspective is problematic. But let's get back to the video. The video, and it is very easy for you to. It's hard for me to understand how anybody cannot see how bad this is. But I do give you, I give you some leeway, Jonathan, on not understanding. Go ahead.
No, I condemned it. I said it was awful and disgraceful. You can't say that I'm defending this.
I didn't say that you were defending.
Okay, but you're calling me calling me ignorant here.
No, I'm not calling you. You just told me you was gonna school me on internet, and I'm just telling you. Let me give you some understanding of why this is extremely offensive to other folks who happen to be a brown skin. Okay, and the reason I say that, and I say it this way, and what I said, I can give you when you said you were looking for it and you were kind of surprised. You did condemn it. But you said that you were kind of surprised because you were looking for something that was going to be really horrible. This whole minute and a half or whatever. For me, it rises to the occasion of what you thought you were going to look for. For me, blacks in this country have been always monkeys have been a portrayal. My heart goes out to the Obamas their family, their children, who have to see this, because Michelle Obama being compared to a monkey is not anything new. And unfortunately, there are so many people in this nation, we talk about division, who've allowed it to take place. We've allowed it to be, and people would laugh, and it's been in cartoons. But we talk about leadership, and let me give you a discourse in leadership, because I've been there a little bit longer. I was always taught by the leaders who gave me the lessons and the understanding of what I have, that leaders don't lead from behind, they lead from out front. To your point, Mark, that a leader, we are supposed to be, the office of the president is supposed to be one that is one that we look at and we are inspired, and should inspire people to be their best, should inspire people. And I think that this is characteristic of any leader. And a leader, it should be held to a greater level of accountability. I say that because in every other place on the planet, we expect our president, our leaders, to be great. We expect the Pope, who is the leader of the Catholic Church, to be great. We expect pastors to have a certain expectation of greatness. And there is a level of greatness that we expect even Hollywood celebrities, which is crazy, to hold up. And so in order for the leader of the world's free nation, of the democratic world, to be given a pass to be petty, to be racist, and I agree, apprehensible, and to deny it, then we have to fully deny it. There is no but, or it's apprehensible, it is deplorable, it is without character, and it is demeaning the office in which he holds. And I think that it's now a point in which, and I'm gonna be done, and I'm gonna let y'all respond however you want to, that it's time out for Republicans saying, I'm sorry. It's time out for them apologizing in private spaces for the things that number 45, 47 has been doing. And it's time for them to grow a pair. I think someone has to stand up. Mark, I can appreciate your positioning. And you said, I can't vote for this. I think it's deplorable. I will not tolerate it. And you walk away. I'm going to give you guys the remaining time. Just 2 minutes.
I'm going to give it to Jonathan because he hasn't had a lot of chance. And, go ahead, Jonathan.
No, I think that's accurate. I think the posting of this video is awful. The reason that I gave that context is often the point of that kind of trolling is to get it reposted without the person who's reposting it realizing it. The president should know exactly what he is putting out there at all times.
He has a team of people to help. Yeah,
he does, and they didn't do a very good job here.
But I think that they did what they wanted to do.
I've been told never attribute to malice what you can attribute to incompetence, and I think this is a gross display of incompetence.
And I think that you have that space because you haven't. I don't think many of the things that we've been talking about, you've been on the target end of what people are thinking are the issues that this president has arisen. When we look at the number of Black women who have lost jobs, when we look at the attack on DEI, when we look at the recategorization of what is an American citizen, we are now using laws to prosecute Americans, Black African Americans who are descendants of slaves that were used for the Ku Klux Klan. I can see how you may not have the level of vitriol that someone like myself might have in that particular situation. But I do appreciate your saying that you denounce it and you think that it's deplorable. But to all of you that are out there, hey, this is only the beginning. We were talking and we did not get to the substance that we want. I think I'm thankful for this conversation because I had not seen that. I've been traveling back. But what I want to say is that as we look at this political season and we get to another election season, let's remember that we have to live after our ballots have been cast. I'm going to say good night to all of you out there having a wonderful time. Take care of yourselves and each other. Grace and peace.